So the last few months I've been putting the Dunlop Sportsmart TT right through their paces, and this is the review from Knox. So the last few months on this motorcycle, I have to say, has been absolutely fantastic. I've done about 1,000 road miles. I've done a load of stuff on the airfield, including some like really stupid tricks and skids and stuff like that for the camera. And I've done 3 amazing track days. 2 at the absolutely incredible and international Donington Park circuit, near Derby, and then the other one at the fastest track in the UK, that's Snetterton. Unbelievable. The first track day, I hadn't been on track for about 8 months, and sort of simultaneously booked a photographer, videographer to take some bits and pieces of us, and proceeded to ride like a bit of a wimp. And then the last 2, which were actually last week at Snetterton and then Donny, really started to pick up the pace again and improve as a rider, and it has just been absolutely mint. So the tyres have been well put through their paces, I have to say, and now the profile is starting to change because Donington's got a lot of really fast right-handers, and obviously that means that you get more wear on one side than the other, and I think they're pretty toast by now. So before I get into my review, a couple of things really, and the first one is that this range of Dunlop Sportsmart tyres, whether that's the Mark III or in fact these TT ones, they are absolutely incredible. And you know, between the 2 sets of tyres, they've taken me from my first ever track day, which was late summer last year, and sort of looking like this. Obviously your first track day, you're going a bit more gentle. Up until my last track day at Donington Park, where I was actually in the advanced group and riding with some racers and looking much, much better. What these tyres have done between them is basically give me a huge amount of confidence, not only in my machine, but in the rubber that is connecting my machine to the road, and that level of confidence that I've had from the Dunlop tyres has enabled me to progress, and that is what you need as a rider to go from the novice group into intermediate and into advanced. You need confidence in your bike, you need confidence in the tyres, and you know, between the Mark III and the TTs, they've absolutely delivered that. And the second really important point that directly relates to a tyre review is the motorcycle. You know, I've got aftermarket K-Tech suspension fitted to the rear and internals on the front, and it's been beautifully set up by TW Suspension Tech, and now the machine is totally balanced and is a really good suspension package as a part of that bike. That sort of setup really enables you to maximize the tyres, so and it's a good foundation for it. The other thing that's also connected to the machine setup is sort of your riding theology, I suppose, and I really try on track days to adopt a good and safe track day riding mentality, and basically that means very little trail braking, or certainly not heavy trail braking. It means off-throttle cornering and off-throttle corner entry and mid-corner, and then when I pick back up on the throttle, I'm trying to do it carefully and progressively as I pick the bike back up again. All of that stuff, whether it's bike setup or rider error or bad riding techniques, they're all going to sort of mess up with the tyre and the way that you find it. So it's really important when you're looking at a tyre and you're thinking about a tyre and you're reading tyre reviews or whatever, that those things are in place, because they're going to enable the tyre to perform to its best level. So the Sportsmart TT, well, this is the most track orientated road-based tyre in the Dunlop collection, and I suppose that it's the introduction into Dunlop's race only or track only tyres from their GP Racer collection. Now, TT actually means track technology, and this is the biggest differentiator with the Sportsmart Mark III in comparison to the Sportsmart TT is the track technology, and that's the N-Tech feature. Effectively, what it enables to do on this particular set of tyres is drop the pressure on the rear tyre in the same way that you would do on a racing tyre, for example. So, for example, with this one, we're actually dropping the rear pressure at cold to like 25 psi. I'll put the actual recommendation in the description for the Dunlop website that's going to take you there. I think they recommend between 22 and 27 psi, but we've been a bit middle of the road, gone for 25, and you know, it'll be what it'll be. But that, I suppose, is a race orientated or track orientated feature. And that is basically because the structure of the tyre has been designed to accept lower pressures. What that means in practice is that you are getting approximately 25% more contact patch on the rear tyre in comparison to a tyre running a higher pressure, for example. What that does, in effect, means that you can get on the gas harder, earlier than you would have done on a tyre where you couldn't do that. And that makes it a faster tyre basically that you can go around a racetrack on. So how does that work out in practice? Well, the first thing, it really does. And certainly the last 2 track days that I did, both at Snetterton and Donny, I really picked up the pace a lot more, entered corners a lot faster, carried a much higher lean angle, and got on the gas earlier than I'd ever done before. And basically, with this set of tyres, there's just a massive deep pool of reservoir of grip available that you can just sort of, you know, learn, progress within, and have a great amount of fun and safety too. In fact, I'll stick in one of the pictures that you'll be able to see where I'm actually running out of ground clearance on the motorcycle, and I think with a bit more aggressive body positioning I could probably have my elbow on the deck. You know, there is a huge amount of grip available on these tyres, and I hit that corner exactly like that all day. Absolutely no issues, no squirming, no sliding, no front end, you know, movements at all. Absolutely solid. So like the Sportsmart Mark III, the feeling of the front tyre is absolutely fantastic. It promotes a fast turning and it's really stable as well. Oodles of confidence in this front tyre. I think the thing that you notice when you're going into the advanced groups on track days and stuff, you'll realise that the vast majority of guys are on either race bikes or on track only bikes, and they're running, vast majority are running either slicks or, you know, track only rubber, and most of them are running tyre warmers as well. So what that means is that as soon as the guy lets you go, these guys are absolutely on it, or fairly on it anyway. Now normally with you know, because we're not using tyre warmers, I'd like to sort of give them a lap or so to really start you know, picking up the pace, but because of this sort of fact that everyone else is on tyre warmers, you don't really get that same opportunity, so you do have to get on it pretty well, you know, to not get on everybody's nerves. And you know what, that worked out really well. These tyres seem to, hey, nobody's getting out a thermometer after one lap and checking, you know, how hot or cold it is. But I have to say, you know, there was a couple of sessions there, I'm going out and 3 corners in, or out from pit lane, I've got my knee on the deck. So, you know, what that means to me is that the tyres warm up really quick, and I had very high levels of confidence in it incredibly quickly. Yes, in an ideal world, I'd have put a lap or 2 down before really starting to motor on. But if you want to go out the gate and crack on, then, you know, there's a good amount of confidence there as well. They seem to warm up really fast. So then corner exit. Well, bearing in mind I'm on a GSXR 750, I can comment on what they're like on this bike, but I haven't got a modern 1000cc super bike with like 200 horsepower. So you know, I can't exactly relate to how that would be. But what I will say for this particular motorcycle is I've been able to get on the gas harder and earlier than I'd have ever thought possible, and still had that, you know, deep reservoir of grip to sort of mess around with, which is what I was talking about before. I think, in fact, I've only had one slight squirm, and that was coming out of Melbourne Loop at Donington. It's really like a stop-start corner, and that was in first gear, you know, still coming out, and give it a bit much handful. And again, with Dunlops, you know, and I don't know whether this is like it for other brands, but you're not like, whoop, you know, high side, it's just a little squirm, you know, is all. It's really nice, it's really progressive, and it, again, even that squirm gives you confidence to know, okay, well, I'm brushing up against the limit there. Let's try and find that in more corners as well. What I will say is, you know, where do you go from here, really? And I think, you know, with and watching and riding with all day some of the racers and faster guys in the fast group, where they were really gapping me and making a lot of progress in terms of timing was their ability and how they were riding the bikes. Basically, they were getting really hard and early on the gas, so that, you know, from mid-corner they're almost absolutely driving it out of corners really hard. And I think that's probably the next level in terms of tyres. I don't think you're going to have a problem with these corner entry or mid-corner, but probably that what the race tyres and track day orientated or only tyres are giving you is that ability and grip level to get on the gas ridiculously hard from mid-corner and out. And certainly that's where some of the other riders, the faster guys, were gapping me down the straights, is their ability to get on it harder and earlier. But all that being said, you know, I never came in from any of the sessions that I've done and was thinking like, oh, I wish I had like grippier tyres on or something. You know, that never ever crossed my mind. You know, the performance of this set of rubber is higher than where I am as a rider at the moment, and I absolutely wouldn't hesitate picking up another set. So we've talked about the track quite a lot, and that's probably a good thing, because actually it's the most extreme environment that you can put a set of tyres through. You're never going to, you know, put them through the paces on the road like you would on the track. So it's a good thing to talk about. But how do they perform on the road? Well, excellently, I would say. And, you know, I was a little bit worried going on to the TTs versus the Mark IIIs, because I just, over my time with the Sportsmart Mark IIIs, I just developed a massive amount of confidence in them, particularly in the wet as well. I mean, you know, my confidence in the wet was so much. I was doing like stoppies and stuff in the wet, which obviously you need a huge amount of confidence in order to do. I also think these are great in the wet, but they're not quite as good as the Sportsmart Mark IIIs. I've had a couple of slips in areas where I wouldn't have had slips with the Mark III tyres. But at the same time, they've been more than good enough for what we've been doing, riding in the wet, commuting, doing some fast and sweeping road stuff, and plus all the airfield stuff as well. So it's a big thumbs up from the road performance of these tyres. So to finish then, considering all that I've put them through, from the road stuff to the airfield stuff to the stunts and skids to the 3 track days that I've put them through, the last one where I've actually rode alongside some racers, to be honest, I'm absolutely blown away with them, and have absolutely no issues recommending them to you guys. So I really hope you've enjoyed that. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, check out the Knox range, and we'll see you next time.